So I'm really excited to have Rich or ECP Pool with us today, joining me and Hosky for an awesome interview. Rich, it's really nice having you on. How you doing?
Good. How about yourself, Theo?
So yeah, we're really excited to have you on and get to know you more, get to know you better. How about we start with a little bit about you, your background, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a dad of two sons, both in middle school. I help coach their volleyball. Like you said, I do run a pool with me and my brother. Started a pool back in 2001. I believe it was September of 2021.
Dude, do you have any pets?
Yes, I do. I have a
And
dog.
there is a okay, good. I was gonna say there is a wrong answer, and that wrong answer would have been cat.
Yes, I don't have a cat. I have one dog. Yeah.
How did you get into crypto? What got you started, and how did you make your way all the way to Cardano?
Wow. So that's actually an interesting story for me because I actually, what intrigued me about crypto was I read an article. It had to have been like 2008-ish. I believe it was Wired, and it was about smart contracts. And of course, it was about Ethereum at the time. But the article is really just talking about smart contracts and how they would work and the technology. And it just fascinated me. At the time I was working for a digital ad agency. So where I was doing some programming and stuff. And I just read it and I was just like, wow, I could see all the use cases for moving so many contracts into a smart type of contract. And was like, wow, this is really going to be the future and where it's going to be at. So that's kind of like where I started on it. And then kind of like life got in the way. And I really kind of wasn't around crypto then until I think it was early 2021. I started getting back interested in smart contracts. So I actually took a Haskell class from the University of Glasgow and got a certificate. And then actually, I don't think Pete knows this, but actually Pete from Learn Cardano actually, I didn't even have like a Twitter presence or anything like that in the ecosystem. And I was talking with him through my personal account, and he was talking about the Plutus Pioneer program. And at that point, it was the second cohort. And he was just like, yeah, he had mentioned or tweeted about it. And I direct messaged him. I said, oh, can you give me any more information on this? Is there like a place to sign up? And he had sent me a link. So that's actually how I got into it. I started in the Plutus Pioneer program before I even had a pool. And that's kind of just where I got to know a lot of people that were running pools and stuff, because a lot of them were in that program. So it's kind of where it all started for me.
So you've mentioned about, you got into Cardano because of smart contracts, but my question is, Cardano doesn't have smart contracts. Like, what's going on there?
That's not true, my friend. It's not true. It's a ghost chain.
It's a ghost chain for sure. Yes. Now, what was the point? What was the point in time while you started learning more about Cardano, Plutus, and everything else that you said to yourself, "Oh, I really want to start my own stake pool. Like, I want to be a part of the decentralization, part of the network and the ecosystem as a whole." Like, when did that happen and how?
So it was during that program, because I through that program, so the early cohorts were actually, it was difficult. That program wasn't totally flushed out. My programming knowledge is not that great. I'm not a Vegas. So I am, the Haskell was above me. The little certificate I had was not enough to really do it. But through that program, I got to know some of the other SPOs that were in the program. And I could just tell, like, I just really liked the community, and I wanted to still do this, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to write smart contracts at this point. So I wanted to really do something in Cardano. And of course, just like everyone else, I had saw Charles's whiteboard and was like so inspired. And, that's actually why I picked Cardano to learn about smart contracts and go there. Was I liked his vision. I liked the whiteboard. So I went down that route. I was lucky. My brother is system administrator for like over 20 years. So I'm not super great with the servers, or I wasn't in the beginning. And so he was just, I went and talked to him about it, and he was just like, yeah, let's try it. Let's do it. And he's like, I'll teach you, what you need to know. And the rest is history. So
You're actually very lucky, because it took me 2 years to convince my brother to get to help me out. So you're very lucky in that sense.
I think it took me one night. I convinced him in one night. So yeah, I was lucky.
So tell us a little bit about your steak pool. How is it going? How long has it been running? And just anything else you want to talk about.
The summer of 2021, we messed around a lot. We, built the pool. I mean, we built nodes, destroyed them, built them, destroyed them. I mean, we played around for several months. So we actually didn't launch until like September. And actually, I did want to launch a little bit sooner than that, but it was fine. It was good to just play around and learn.
Which epoch? Which epoch did you launch?
I should know this, but I don't know.
I'm only asking. I'm only asking because we got launched in September of 2021. It was an epoch 291. So I just want to make sure. Like,
do you know the date? Because we're September 3rd.
I think it was the 18th. Yeah.
Okay.
So a couple epochs before that.
Yeah, I know we launched around the same time because we were like, we talked way back then. So yeah, it was cool. So yeah, so we launched then, just like any new small pool, it's a struggle. We struggled for a long time, and right now we do have the IOG million delegation for the next several months. So that's definitely helped us at least in some blocks. As you know, the ecosystem's a little weird. It's a little tough right now. You can definitely tell that we're in a bear market. I remember, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago or longer, you used to find people on Twitter all the time asking for like new stake pools and trying to understand how to do it. And you really don't see a ton of that right now. I mean, it's not that it's not there still, but I mean, it was before. It was like, I would spend hours upon hours each day, like talking somebody through how to delegate and stuff like that. And you can tell there's just a lot less of that going on right now. And I'm sure it'll turn around and pick back up. But we do have a mission. We do give 10% of our profit to a charity that I am connected to as well. It's Angel Tracks. And what Angel Tracks does is they provide financial assistance to families who can't afford cancer treatments for their pets. So we go in and we usually work with the doctors. So the doctors will kind of identify someone that doesn't have the resources, and we have an application that we use, and the doctor helps them fill that out, and then the doctor usually submits it to us, and then we've got a 3-person review board that I'm part of. That we look at that, and then we decide how much money to help a family out on. So, but the charity is all of us are volunteers. We don't get paid. So just full disclosure, even though we give a percent of our profits to them, it's going directly to them. It doesn't come to me at all. So
you would consider yourself a mission-driven pool in this case?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
What are the difficulties that you've seen, that you've noticed to that point that you said, I want to set up a pool, I want to launch, and, you got to that point? Before you launch it, I'm pretty sure you had other things in your head of how it will be to what's happening right now, to the reality.
Definitely, I think like most pools, when we start, we think it's going to be easier than it is to get delegation right off the bat. I think for me, I know there's some pools that are surprised by like the marketing aspect of it. I was expecting that. I have a background in marketing, so I did expect that most of it was going to be a lot of marketing and stuff like that. So that part didn't surprise me. I did think that it was going to be a little bit easier to get delegation. I think obviously the shock that a lot of us get is just how hard it is to mint a block, and so when you're not minting blocks, I thought that a lot of people were going to just kind of spread out their delegation and kind of be patient on some of the smaller pools and want to help with decentralization. So I kind of thought there would be a lot more of spreading out their delegation and helping pools. It doesn't seem to be a ton of that right now, especially in a bear market, right? People are chasing the higher rewards pools. And then I think MPOs is obviously something that just, from when I jumped in, I didn't know a ton about MPOs. And then when you get into it, you realize how harmful they are to smaller pools and new pools. So
these are things that you wouldn't expect and you can really see, to be honest, as a, just being a community member or an ADA holder. These are things that you definitely are not really focusing on until you get to that point and you're like, oh my God, like this is different. And there's a lot of people that when they think about like SPOs, oh my God, she makes so much money you know what I mean?
Yes.
But like that's definitely not the case.
No, we almost all operate at a loss, right? I mean, especially if you're a small pool, you're not making a lot of money. Even some of the medium-sized large pools, you're not making a lot of money, but there is that perception that if you're a pool, you must have a lot of money, and that's not the case. I can tell you.
You're
So,
telling me that 340 ADA is not making you rich, and you're not like, taking baths in buckets of or tubs of money like the duck guy from DuckTales. That's kind of
no.
what I think the picture is of most SPOs. But having worked with many SPOs now, it's actually quite the opposite. Again, especially, Hosky as a project, we work with a lot of small SPOs, and I can tell you that 90% of the ones we brought on were operating at a loss. And even if they're minting blocks now, about 80% of the time, it's still cutting it very close. They might be in the profit, but we're talking like minimal amounts of money. Like you probably make more making flipping burgers at McDonald's. And it's difficult, but it's one of the pains of having to deal with existing parameters. And since we're talking parameters, what are your views on decentralization for Cardano as a whole? And do you think that we can do better?
Oh, of course, right? I think everyone thinks that we can do better. And to your point about parameters, when I joined in and during that summer of 2021, if you remember, it was actually supposed to move K to 1,000 March 2021. So I remember when I joined in September, there was a lot of buzz like, oh, well, it didn't happen in March, but it's coming soon. And like, it's just delayed a bit. It's coming. And I think that was a lot of the excitement for a long time was, okay, this is going to help us, right? If we can cut the saturation level of some of these larger pools, that should force some of the sticky delegation back out into the network and help decentralization. And that K parameter just, as you know, has continued to sit there. And then the min fee too, that's something that's devastating for small pools because we don't mint blocks that often, right? And then when we do, to have to take 340 out of a rewards that are maybe like 650, that's just too big of a chunk, right? And you're only getting one block. So even if the min fee was done in a way that it was done to every block, it would have been at least a little bit fairer as far as returns go. Now, obviously, the bigger pools would be milking that min fee even more. Those parameters definitely affected us. It was something that we've all wanted for a really long time, for the entire time that we've been here, right? We've been hoping for these parameters to change and hope that it would help us. I mean, as far as K goes, I feel, and I think this is one of my frustrations with the whole MPO discussion, right, is that the K parameter is there to prevent any one entity from having too much stake, right? And if you're opening multiple pools, you're just subverting the K parameter. I mean, it's that plain and simple, right? That parameter was to keep your saturation at a certain level as an entity. And by opening multiple pools, you're just going above that saturation level. So that's something that's definitely been harmful, I think, to the whole community.
Yeah, and that's one of the, you often see the excuse used as code is law. So whatever the code is allowing, therefore I should do it. Where, it's a easy way to excuse not doing, in my opinion, what the right thing is, and just blaming it simply on the code. In this case, I guess, since we're talking parameter changes, do you believe we're going to see any changes anytime in the near future, or you think we're going to have to wait until 1964 or 1776 for any of the CIP governance proposals that are coming up? And what are your thoughts on that process as a whole? Just scratching the surface, no need to go too deep into
Sure.
it.
Sure. I do think the changes are coming soon. As you may have heard, we had an SPO call recently, and it was said on the call they're going to have a on-chain poll with the SPOs to vote just on K. So, and it looks like what the thought process at this point is that we're going to have a poll on it. We've already done like a survey as pools that we've turned into IOG, but I think they want something also on chain just to confirm that. And there is a committee that's also reviewing the parameters. So I think the poll will happen, and then that will go to the committee, and then it's supposed to go to mainnet. And it sounds like they're trying to move that along pretty quickly here over the next couple of months. So I'm hoping along with that comes min fee, because I think moving K without removing min fee is not a great idea, right? I think they should be partnered together and or very close, spread apart within like a month or two. The min fee should also probably be removed. And I think that in itself should help MAV a bit. I think obviously all of that can happen without 1694. We can do these type of on-chain polls or votes in the meantime until Voltaire is really worked out and flushed out. I am hopeful that stuff is going to happen. I think that's a good step in the right direction. I think it was, I don't know how many months ago, Professor Agalos, I thought, said that they were working on a new rewards formula. So I think that's promising too. Hopefully that comes over the next year or so. So, if you can get some of these parameters, some changes in rewards, and then you've got the change in Ouroboros to Legolos, right? And that itself, I believe, gives smaller pools a better chance of minting blocks. So all of that as a combination is all going to be good for small and new pools, and even smaller size pools, under 5 million or so. So I think that's all good for decentralization, all good for the network. So I'm very hopeful.
I was actually going to ask you, like, what is the most exciting upcoming thing in the ecosystem? And I would tie in the same question, like, what is your role model, if I may say that, into the ecosystem on Cardano, or you could even choose, other ecosystems as well.
What I just mentioned are the things that I'm most excited for. That and input endorsers, I think that's got the potential to really help a lot of pools, right? Especially it depends on how it's done, right? But if it's done where it can help some of the pools that aren't minting blocks as much get more of these like mini blocks, I think that will definitely help. I don't think we've mentioned yet so far that I'm also part of the XSPO Alliance, which is an alliance for extra small pools, and that's something that's a huge passion of mine. And I just love helping other pools. I love just helping people. I love, the whole helping delegators learn how it works and teaching them that way, and then helping small pools and new pools that have questions or may have technical problems or whatever it may be. It's just such a great group. And, I think that's one of the things that gives me the most hope for Cardano too. It's like, you think about it, all of us pools technically are all competition, right? I mean, we're all friends with our competition. Like, we help each other so much when that's actually our competition. But I mean, it's such a great community where there's so many great people that go out of their way to really help others, whether it's a technical problem or a marketing issue or whatever it may be. It's just amazing, right? You're going out and you're helping your competitor do better, and that's just it's awesome to me. That's what keeps driving me in this ecosystem, because I think there's just some amazing people. And then role models, right? So then that, I guess, ties right into role models, right? So with that, I'm gonna end up missing people, right? But I have to start with the SPO Alliance, right? I mean, people like George from Apex Pool. If people don't know, George constantly helps everyone. I mean, he's like our tech guru. I mean, I don't even know how he knows some of the things he knows, but it's like, if you have any type of issue, whatever it may be like trying to manually write a transaction or what happens in a I mean, he knows, right? He can tell you, oh, do this, do that. It's just, And again, he just does it selflessly. Like he'll spend hours helping you do something, or even just understand something if you don't totally understand what the new node's doing, or if there's new code or something. Be like, I don't understand this. Be like, oh, it's this, and he'll spend the time, and that's just absolutely amazing to me. People like Vahid from Ada from Good. I mean, I think he's almost like he's getting close to fully saturated, right? And he's one of the founders of the XSPO Alliance. He is there at our weekly meetings every week, constantly helping small single pools. And I know the guy's super busy, right? But he still takes the time out to help small pools and give them advice. And he's also kind of like a mentor to me. He helps me like see things from a different angle. Like we don't always agree on things, but he always gets me to like look at something a different way. And then like Sean from NB Pool. I mean, you ever need to feel better? I mean, that guy. I mean, you can talk to him. He instantly, he's got the positive. Yeah, I mean, he's just great, and he helps me a lot too. Just same thing with technical stuff. Sometimes you have a question or something, and Sean's willing to take the time and talk to you as well. So it's just it. And Ryan from Panel Pool. I mean, I can go on and on. I mean, there's such a great group over at the XSPO Alliance. So them just as a whole, all those people just taking their time to help people. And then, people throughout the community. I mean, obviously like you, Chef, you're out there helping people. Hosky. I mean, people probably know I was an early fan of Hosky's early on, just taking on that decentralization message. I mean, it's meant a lot. So people like Dr. Michael Lichtenfeld, right? I mean, he took the time to write that SIP 50. He's constantly going through this stuff and trying to push and try to look at things differently. And, he doesn't have a pool. He doesn't have any, he's just out there because he cares, and it's just amazing how many people are in this space that just truly care and spend time to either help others or help the chain. So yes, people like that are, just amazing to me. And I'm sure I'm missing people, so I'm sorry.
I just want to say, because like this is really inspiring what you're sharing with us. This is the magic of the Cardano community, right? No matter what happens, we're gonna all get together, and I'm just gonna touch on the decentralization part because that's something really dear to all of us, and that's our focus, and that's the focus of the whole show here is to promote decentralization, make sure that we tell everybody to leave the exchanges, go support other small stake pool operators, or leave the multi-pools with thousand of delegators and go support somebody like yourself, and or the other people from the XSPO Alliance. And just to conclude everything, like this is the magic, in my opinion, that makes a big difference for the Cardano ecosystem. We don't see ourselves as competition. We help each other, and by helping each other, guess what? The pie is so big that we can all be full, not just have a bite from that pie, be full, and at the same time, progress with the decentralization, make sure that the network is safe, and work with each other to lift each other up and get Cardano to a way better state.
When people start looking at whatever they're doing as the benefit of everybody else versus just themselves, that's when we start seeing a community building, and everything you do has to be about more than you. I think we have enough selfish people around, and that's one thing that has been very encouraging about Cardano is just the amount of people from SPOs to just regular community members, and their willingness to help each other, their willingness to look at the needs of everybody else, not just their own.
What I would say is that, I know people come to Cardano for many different reasons. But I would say if you came here for decentralization, if you came here to get away from old systems where it's the few, the rich, the powerful controlling the system, then I would say, don't delegate to the MPOs, right? This is your chance to create a new system and to help decentralization and so support the small single pools, delegate to them, because that's what's going to change the system. If we have something different, if we have just a few big MPOs running it all, then, we're right back to the old system. So
I totally agree with you, man, and you couldn't have said it better, actually. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us? Anything that we missed, we didn't ask you, or you would like to share with the community?
I think as far as inspiration, so I didn't mention Charles. I think I have to, because I feel like he's one of the main reasons I'm here and a lot of us are here. And I just appreciate all the work he does. I mean, he's constantly out there and putting out videos and working hard. And I know it can be tough sometimes, and community doesn't always agree with him, but I love that he keeps going, and he goes, and I feel like he's always fighting for us. So he's a huge inspiration too, and I just want to say thank you to him as well.
We can all agree with that. I think if it wasn't for him, a lot of us wouldn't be here. So yeah, I can definitely agree with that aspect. And stick to a small single stake pool. Help decentralize Cardano and Rug Me Daddy.
Actually, it's Decentralize Me Daddy, not Rug Me Daddy anymore. So you have to change your motto.
Decentralize Me Daddy.
So Rich, thanks again for joining us. It was a pleasure, learning all those things about you, putting a face right next to that PFP. And I'm really hoping that we're going to catch up with you again pretty soon.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe one of these live events for one. So I'll be able to meet up with you guys. So well said, my friend, and thank you.